welcome to the SRAM Downhill Southeast. We're in Vernon, New Jersey at Mountain Creek Resort. They call me Trill Will when I'm out here on track, and we can't wait to bring you some action here for round number 4. Mountain Creek is one of the iconic downhill race venues in the United States, hosting the U.S. Open of mountain biking, national rounds, and now Downhill Southeast. The terrain here is unforgiving. It's going to present a very unique challenge in this year's SRAM Downhill Southeast series. The race this weekend will be round number 4 of 6 for our 2022 race series, and that means we are into the second half of the season. We've had 3 great races so far, so let's take a look back at the highlights from the first 3 rounds of the SRAM Downhill Southeast. We kicked it off at the end of February in Sequatchie, Tennessee at the Trials Training Center. The Trials Training Center was home to the first Downhill Southeast race ever in 2016. There was a brand new track that the boys put in so much work to get ready for the weekend. Riders were loving it, but the conditions were tricky. Cold and rainy all weekend left the track deteriorated and in a state of perpetual mud. For pro men, Lucas Shaw overcame a flat tire in seeding to take the win in finals, and it was Rochelle Peugeot who would take the win for the pro women at round number 1. At the end of April, we headed to Windrock Bike Park in Oliver Springs, Tennessee for round number 2. Windrock Bike Park is the heart of modern U.S. downhill racing and the home of Downhill Southeast. After the freak snow and windstorm at the Tennessee National that canceled finals, racers were chomping at the bit for this Downhill Southeast round, and it was Aaron Gwynn who took the win for the pro men in his first Downhill Southeast race ever, and Caitlin Farmer took her first win in the pro women's class at round number 2. And at the end of April, we headed to Massanutten Resort for round number 3. We had a fresh track. Racers were loving it. Conditions could not have been better. For the pro men, it was Steve Estabrook who took his first ever win on the Downhill Southeast series. And for the pro women, Shell Peugeot racked up her second win in her 2022 Downhill Southeast campaign. A lot of folks have been asking the question since the schedule came out for this series. Well, this is Downhill Southeast. Why are we going up to New Jersey? Well, we've got just the person to answer that question. Let's talk with Neko Mulally and find out more about Downhill Southeast invasion into the Mid-Atlantic.
So this weekend we're at Mountain Creek Bike Park in Vernon, New Jersey. The goal with Downhill Southeast from the beginning for me was 1, to get more people racing, and 2, to preserve the quality of a high-level event so that these riders can prepare themselves to go race bigger events in the future if that's their goal. There's not that many venues in the Southeast that we can get 300 to 400 riders up the hill in a reasonable amount of time and have parking and pit area for that. So to expand the series, Mountain Creek was an awesome option. I've known these guys for a long time. I grew up in Eastern PA and have raced at this mountain a lot over the years. Our organization is called Downhill Southeast, but if we can go to a venue that's got an awesome track and can do everything that we want. I feel like the track is a really important thing for me as a racer, and I think a lot of other guys can relate. When you think back to some of your best weekends out at a downhill race, the track is one of the first things that comes to mind. And having a great racetrack is a must for Downhill Southeast. So coming up here to Mountain Creek, they've got a pretty rocky, fast course. It's rough. They've got a variety of tracks to choose from. So yeah, we're on a national caliber track for sure. Yeah, so one of the coolest things at Mountain Creek is that when you're not practicing for the race, there's a bunch of awesome, fun jump lines and different trails to ride. The lift here is so quick. It's just a fun place to do party laps with your friends, and when you come to Downhill Southeast, you can get your practice in and then have time to ride with your buddies. Here at Mountain Creek, they have awesome lodging situation with the hotel right at the finish line. I can look out my window from my bed and see the finish of the race, which is pretty awesome. they've got a bunch of other fun stuff to do too. They've got a water park, they've got an alpine slide, they've got all-inclusive summer resort, which is pretty cool. Yeah, it's just been awesome to see so many faces from the Southeast making the trip up here for the first time and getting to see what this bike park's all about. And then also new faces from the Northeast that maybe haven't raced downhill Southeast before and can try out some of our races. Yeah, I love the track. It's a good chance for me to get warmed up for Fort William next weekend, so excited to race.
The storied tracks at Mountain Creek Bike Park behind me have hosted some of the biggest names in downhill mountain biking. Names like Sam Hill, Aaron Gwynn, Bryn Atkinson, Jill Kittner, Tracy Mosley, and more have all won races here at Mountain Creek. To learn a little bit more about the history of downhill racing at Mountain Creek, we've got the bike park's own George Ryan to sit down with us.
As the head of the trail crew here at the bike park, I am in charge of building and maintaining the trails. That could be anything from just getting the park open for the season and refreshing what we have, to building a new trail or new jumps, new features all around the park. We have somewhere over 50 trails. There's full top to bottom runs, there's little connector trails, there's a little bit of everything, rocky tech trails, there's big jumps, small jumps, wood features. Downhill racing at Mountain Creek started, I think in the year 2000. In 2003, hosted the US Open of mountain biking, and that drew a lot of people here. And it was really cool to see the big names come to the spot that I was riding every weekend, like the Sam Hills, Bryn Atkinson, John Cicaldi. Well, the course for the Downhill Southeast this weekend, like every course we do here, I try to mix a lot of everything. Like, I try to get some steep tech stuff, try to get a crowd favorite rock garden, try to add a couple jumps and berms in there. We got a couple really tech sections. 99 is just boulders that are stuck in the ground and they're pretty slick. There's roots in between some of them that can really catch you off guard if you're not really on it. The Asylum Rock Garden is one of the crowd favorites here. It's been a classic for a while. The fast riders, they're gonna use the transitions of the rock in there. There's a couple of rock faces where they could actually jump almost the whole thing, catch backside on the bottom, get a good pump, and gain speed at the exit. Whereas if you kind of mess up and don't hit those sweet spots, you'll be bouncing off rocks, you'll jump and like almost land flat at the bottom. Doing that always costs a little bit of time. Did the big gap this morning, followed some 15-year-old into it. The next tech section is called Thread the Needle, and that one we used last year for the National, and we taped it a little differently this year as recommended by Neko, and it's kind of thrown people a little off. They weren't expecting the main line to be taped off, so they had to improvise. The finished turn, you come flying down the ski slope, you got a lot of speed, and then you got this big right-hand berm with a little jump over the water ditch. A lot of people, they just cruise around the berm with a lot of speed, and then they hit the little jump over the water bar. But you could also ride the berm, a slightly different line, and launch off the top corner, and you could jump over the takeoff of the little jump and land on the other side of the water bar and triple the whole thing. Depending on the rider, you could do a split second here and there, and downhill racing, sometimes that split second matters.
Should be seeing George Ryan. There he is.
I'm excited to race. This is my first race of the season. I'm excited to get out there, do what I can. I'm hoping to get in the top end of the field. Getting higher up in the age, so it's harder to keep up with the kids. But yeah, I'm gonna do what I can, and we'll see what happens.
And there is Vernon Peak, topping out at just over 1,473 feet, nestled into the Hamburg Mountains, just south of the New York-New Jersey border. You can see our track broken up into three distinct sectors: split number 1 in green, split number 2 in yellow, and split number 3 in red. Split number 1 featuring that 99 rock garden. Split number 2, it's all tech with the Asylum Rock Garden as well as the Thread the Needle section. Split number 3, you drop into Candyland, some high-speed segments through the woods, pop out into the open with a double-double and a berm gap to the finish. Here are the seeding results for our Pro Cat 1 women. And after a tight battle at round number 3 in Massanutten, again, it's Shell Peugeot and Abigail Ronka on top, 1-2. Just over 2 seconds separating those two riders. Victoria Zanoni from Short Hills, New Jersey in third with a 3:26. Sage Weiss in fourth, and Lily Driver rounding out your top 5. Here is Lily Driver kicking us off, riding for the Gravity Academy out of Taylor, South Carolina. Driver seating in at 5th, dropping into her finals run. Good bit of rain overnight, actually. So this is the first look we have at the course this afternoon. It's just after 1:30 in the afternoon, so a decent amount of time has passed for this course to dry up, but you can see Driver feeling it out here in the first tech section of the track 99. Just an infamously slick section, even with the slightest bit of moisture. Lily came in 4th at Windrock and a 4th at Massanutten. So put together some nice results so far. It's 102.23 at split number 1. So she's over a second up on our hot seat time. The Asylum Rock Garden, signature feature here at Mountain Creek. And into this lily pad section. Here's the Thread the Needle. A couple different line options right here. Driver going off that rock drop. Yeah, you can see some moisture still in the soil there as Driver makes her way towards the end of split number 2. Could be a theme on the Downhill Southeast this year. Lots of rocks on a number of our tracks. Same deal here at Mountain Creek, 234.38 for Driver. So really nice time there, making up almost 6 seconds in that second split. Driver out into the open here. A bit of a double-double coming out of the woods. So we got a high-speed straightaway coming into this finish line berm. Driver strong to the line, and it's going to be the top time so far. 3:36.59, 16 seconds into the green. Well, here's Sage Weiss out of Glenwood, New Jersey, riding for Chain Gang Racing. Sage has been ripping all weekend, knows this course very well. See if some of that local knowledge can help her get up to pace at the beginning of this track. Hard to have confidence when you haven't been on the course in a few hours since the end of pro practice, especially with these changing conditions, moisture levels still in the soil and the roots and the rocks. Weiss looking smooth there. Not needing many pedals. 1.98 up on Lily Driver. Oh, wow. Very nice pace. Just ripping that corner. So Weiss feeling comfortable here in Sector 2. A little bit of a different line around the lily pad. Oh, and the crowd is warmed up. And Weiss opts for this low line here in Thread the Needle. Yeah, quite a few different line options there. And a deceptively technical corner right there as Weiss just barely holds it together. Coming up to the end of split number 2. And it's going to be a 5.5 second advantage for Sage Weiss. Oh, just throwing it deep into that right-hander. Kind of a welcome respite with some dirt berms after all the rocks in sectors 1 and 2.
Nice. Woo! Nice.
So here's Sage Weiss building some nice momentum in the bottom half of this run. Bit of steez down through the finish line, and Weiss will go fastest. 9.96 into the green. It's a 3:26 for Sage Weiss. And here's Victoria Zanoni from Short Hills, New Jersey. Zanoni, the youngest rider in our pro women's field, just 13 years of age. Got lots of racing experience though, but this is the first year she's up into the pro ranks. Zanoni not lacking confidence here in the rocks at Mountain Creek. Beautiful line right there, riding with precision in the 99 section. Looking to carry a little bit of pace right here up to split number 1. You know, no need to be on the pedals. You got plenty more riding to do. 3.37 into the green. Look at that for Zanoni. Super clean through Asylum. A very composed run for Victoria Zanoni. Opting again for the low line and thread the needle. Goes low and then cuts hard to the right. Wow, looking like that's going to be a crucial corner here. I believe that's the section of trail they call Legion, just after thread the needle. So much tech in split number 2. Oh, and it's more green. It is 4.94 into the green for Victoria Zanoni. Not a long course by time, but plenty of physical features to zap your energy. Just a slope tuck straightaway between Zanoni and the finish line. So she had quite a bit of time to play with here to go onto the hot seat, and she will. Lost just a bit there, but 3.48 into the green for a 323.48. And here is Abigail Ronka from Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. She's been on a tear, building nicely throughout the season here at Downhill Southeast. Second place at Massanutten. And just over 2 seconds back on our top qualifier, Shell Peugeot. Ronka goes deep on that first rock feature. Couple line options right there. Riding the outside, dropping into 99. It's a spot where you can separate yourself if you're able to let off the brakes. Pretty good pace for Abby out of 99. Couple pedal strokes. Really your last chance to breathe, reset. Oh, it's 4.91 into the green, so Ronka is on a good one here. Almost 5 seconds on that top split. Keeping it nice and tidy through Asylum. Oh, and nicely over the lily pad. Ronka going highline here on thread the needle. I definitely think that is the way to go. Tons of speed carried there out of the thread the needle and smooth on that tight left-hander. Just an awkward little move. So keeping that gas pedal down, 15 seconds into the green, 2.09 for Ronka. Pump, pump, double. Abby Ronka trying to get close to the seating time of Shell Peugeot. I think the course might be running just a touch slower, but not much difference in it today as Ronka puts down a 303.34. That's going to put some pressure on Shell Peugeot with one rider left to go. And there she is. Shell keeping it loose. 2 wins to her name so far on the Downhill Southeast season. And Peugeot will be looking to continue to build that momentum she started in 2022 as she moves towards the rest of her World Cup campaign. Oh yeah, Peugeot moving here in 99. Able to get off those brakes early and get some pumps in on the exit. It was a real tight battle between these two ladies in seeding, Ronka and Peugeot. Let's see where they are at split number 1. Oh, it's still tight, but Peugeot is 1.94 in the green. That's a nice margin to have right off the bat. Oh, and she goes straight down the middle of Asylum. Yeah, straight down the middle. That direct line is really where you want to be. Very smooth over the lily pad. You can hear that crowd here at Mountain Creek getting fully warmed up. Oh, but Peugeot doesn't stick around to hear the cheers much. She is out of there. Make our way to split number 2. It was 1.94 in the green for Peugeot at split number 1. Oh, and she's extended, but just barely. 2.14 up for Peugeot. Shell with some powerful pedal strokes there. Great pace on those berms and straight back to the pedals. So it's a 2-second advantage at split number 2. Peugeot surely will go green here at the finish. Yes, she will. 302.84. Losing a little bit of time at sector 3, but plenty for the win here this afternoon. What a ride for Shell. That's going to be win number 3 here on the SRAM Downhill Southeast season as Peugeot climbs to the top step of the podium. There's Abigail Ronka in second. Victoria Zanoni in third. Shell making it rain. Plenty to celebrate for Peugeot here at the SRAM Downhill Southeast as she extends her lead in the overall. 101 points for Peugeot. Abby Ronka in second. Zana Logar still hanging on to third. Lily Driver in fourth. And Angelica Petranton moving up to fifth.
Super fun race once again. Super fun track. A few new sections, and it rained a little bit every night, so mornings were spicy on track, but it dried quite a bit for race runs, so it was like almost prime time for a race run. It was good. Both of my runs had like a few mistakes, but they were both also kind of decent. Like I wish I had cleaned it out a bit more for my race run, but it worked out in the end, and I kept it like pretty safe, so happy with that. Well, the rock gardens here are always like a little bit tricky because it doesn't matter how many times you like nailed it or how many times you cleared it. You never know, like little mistakes, and the rocks are like out to get you. So little mistakes can really throw you offline and like really surprise you, which I kind of did in Asylum, the big slab in the middle. Like you're always like on the edge. You're always like, oh, am I gonna get it this time? But it went pretty well all weekend. I was stoked on a little double at the ends because usually I don't. It's not my favorite stuff to do, but I nailed it this weekend, so I was pretty happy with how I rode and all that. So.
Here are your pro men's seeding results. So it's Neko Mulally seeding in first with a 222.5, almost 5 seconds up on Tristan Lemire, who came down from Bromont, Quebec. Max Morgan's in third, back on the downhill southeast scene, riding for Santa Cruz Bicycles. Mauricio Estrada in fourth, James Frost in fifth, and there's Jake Kahn hanging out in sixth place. Titus Nicholson seventh, Jason Mimlar eighth, Cooper Pleva and George Ryan going to round out your top 10 in seeding. Well, here is George Ryan seated in 10th from Sparta, New Jersey. Ryan, head of the trail crew here at Massanutten, and we heard from him earlier in the show talking about some of these key sections on track. And George Ryan has come straight out of the gate blazing. Yeah, Ryan's going to know almost every rock and route on this track. Oh, he goes outside to inside, dropping into 99, so we're wasting no time. First rider of the show, and Ryan just gapping everything in sight. Yeah, it's not a long track here at Mountain Creek, so you don't have to save your energy. You can see Ryan just putting the power down with each pedal stroke. 43.87, so he's 1.67 back on Steve Estabrook. Oh, with a butter smooth double there in Asylum. He's putting those flat pedals to use, dogging that foot, able to carry so much speed out of the rock garden. Oh, and the fans are hyped to see Ryan come through, thread the needle. Not messing about in the least bit. Oh, hard landing right there for Ryan. Oh, he's pulled time back. Just 0.27 back at split number 2 for George Ryan. George has been downhill racing for quite a number of years, but he's still trying to give these young bucks a run for their money. Not going to hold back at all. So Ryan to the finish line here. He's got to make up .27 on Steve Estabrook. Going to pedal straight through, and he's done it. George Ryan into the hot seat, out of the back of the finish corral. Oh, but he's claiming it. George Ryan into the hot seat. Cooper Pleva going to see what he can do to that time of George Ryan. I'm sure these two guys ride a lot together, both from New Jersey. Pleva been out on the downhill southeast scene, 8th in Massanutten. Oh, sending it deep. No regard for tires and wheels here for Cooper Pleva. Yeah, these course conditions have been drying up, and the pros know it. So Pleva's into split number 1. And he's up. Whoa! Top sector up for Cooper Pleva, up by .32. Not quite as fast as George Ryan there through Asylum, gotta say. Shrouded that corner a bit hard. It sounded good. Maybe not the no! Pleva could not quite thread the needle. It's such a precise line. Incredible precision needed there, and Pleva is wild now, trying to make up for that mistake. Yeah, just getting a bit sloppy. That turn is going to be one of the crux of the race run this afternoon. Yeah, lost 7 seconds there. He's .696 back. And just trying to do anything he can to claw back some time. I mean, likely can still salvage a decent result here. Yeah, Pleva not going to hold anything back. Unfortunate get off there. Triples down into the finish. 241.82 for Pleva.
As he crosses the line, we'll see what that finish time is.
Here's Jason Mimlar out of Newburgh, New York. Mimlar just as smooth on the downhill bike as his hair is flowing. Man's been racing downhill bikes here up in the Northeast for over a decade. So he's out here at Downhill Southeast to show he's still one of the top dogs out here on the slopes of Mountain Creek.
Yeah.
Whoa, whoa. Mimlar in contact with the tree in 99. Trying to get back up to pace. He's definitely going to be back on George Ryan, though. Yeah, third at split number 1, 1.97 back on Ryan. And George was so precise here in Asylum. But Mimlar cracking on. Making sure to nail that entrance on Thread the Needle. Whoa. Just about swapping it out as he exited that section. And split number 2, time has gone by. 6.37 for Mimlar. Well, George Ryan showing up for the hometown fans. Looks like he's going to dodge another bullet here. Mimlar coming down to the finish straight. So Jason Mimlar, he's going to go into third place, 240.63, over 7 seconds outside the time of George Ryan. Well, here's Titus Nicholson out of West Milford, New Jersey. Nicholson is a wild man on the downhill bike, and he's back between the tape. Been getting back from some nagging injuries, and he wanted to wait till he was ready to go full throttle, so this should be a wild one from Nicholson. Oh, Titus carrying incredible pace here into 99. Gonna know exactly where he wants his tires to... No! That was not the line Nicholson wanted to be on. Just got pushed wide right there. in a tangle with the rocks at Mountain Creek. That was a big one for Titus. So the young man not going to have the run he was looking for. We'll roll on to Jake Kahn in Oliver Springs, Tennessee. Jake Kahn seating in 6th. He's on the Windrock Bike Park Trail Crew, 2nd place at Massanutten. He was 2nd place in our overall series last year in 2021. So Kahn looking for that consistency this year, trying to stay up at the top of the series overall standings. As you just saw, plenty of sections to try and catch you out here at Mountain Creek through 99 with a good bit of pace for Kahn. Jake has been loving being on the downhill bike this season. Oh, really smooth right there. 1.33 up on George Ryan. Tapping down over some rocks there in Asylum. And Kahn is in to thread the needle. One of the trickiest sectors on track, and it was slick this morning. Obviously, these guys making short work of it now this afternoon. So where has the time gone for Kahn? It's gone red. 0.29, so Kahn in 2nd place now at split number 2. He's lost time to George Ryan. 0.29. Can Kahn bring that back? You need to be absolutely perfect on this 3rd split. All those pedals certainly won't hurt. Nice triple there to the finish line. Oh, it's not going to be enough. Kahn goes into 2nd place. 0.94 back on George Ryan.
Just outside that time of Steve.
Well, here's James Frost qualifying with a 232.24 out of Ontario. 5th place yesterday. See if he can improve that on Sunday. He's got a slew of Eastern States Cup podium to his name. Big hit right there from Frost. Yeah, you can only afford so many of those big hits in your run before maybe a tire or a wheel gives out here at Mountain Creek. And Frost a bit wild in 99. Wow, what a way to start your run. 99 right off the bat. So we'll see if that has an impact on his split one time. But he's up by half a second. So Frost must have done something right. Another heinous hit there in Asylum.
Jeez, my God. My capper.
And Frost can only afford a couple more hard hits if he want to keep airing those tires. Through thread the needle, and oh no, hung up right there in that left-hander. That is such a key section of this track. It's an unassuming turn. Oh, but Frost hangs on to his advantage. He's into the green by 0.97 now. Well, can James Frost keep this up to the bottom? ET over the first of those 2 double-doubles. Try to make his trip down to the States count with potentially a downhill southeast podium here. Only 4 riders left after James Frost. Frost will go fastest. 5/10 up. 233.04 James Frost. Let's see how that holds out with Mauricio Estrada. Our next rider up, seated into 4th. Estrada, a fixture here on the East Coast downhill scene, riding for Danny Cycles. Skimming the top of those rocks, trying to soak up that compression. Getting a little more gravity now as we go into 99. Bit of a double there on the outside line for Estrada. So Mauricio clean there through 99. I've got to think he's going to be up on Frost here. So what will the time say for Mauricio Estrada? Yes, he's up, and he's up big. Basically 2 seconds into the green with a huge double in Asylum. Yeah, you got to think Mauricio has been ripping that Asylum Rock Garden for quite some time now. He's definitely got it dialed. New lines there in Thread the Needle, though, this year. Everybody's got to figure that one out with some new taping we brought in for Downhill Southeast. Oh, and a hard hit right there. So Estrada trying to get back up to pace after that hard left-hander, and he is still green. Lost some time, though. Only 15 hundredths of a second to play with. And here is Estrada laying down the power. Doing it for Danny Cycles with a big double there on the berm to berm. So Mauricio on to the final straightaway. He was just a half bike length up at split 2, and he's going to go 0.91 into the green. 232.91 for Estrada into the hot seat. Well, it's Max Morgan. We're into our top 3 seeded riders. Morgan out of South Burlington, Vermont. But he's one of the original pro racers at Downhill Southeast. Did all of his junior racing based out of Georgia. And Morgan immediately up to pace here at Mountain Creek. He was the series champ in 2021 for the Eastern States Cup. So did a lot of racing on this terrain. Nice and tidy through 99. And here is Morgan doing it for Santa Cruz Bicycles on split number 1. Just 14 hundredths back. And Morgan straight down the gut in the Asylum Rock Garden. Nothing fancy right there. Just A to B as fast as possible. And here is Morgan diving into that tight left-hander. Makes short work of it. Oh, that's definitely worth some time. Oh, it was worth a lot of time. 3.4 up for Morgan. That is the fastest time we've seen so far by 3.4 seconds to split number 2. So Max Morgan might be on pace for a win here, at a minimum a podium. Can Max Morgan extend this advantage to the finish? Morgan to the line with a 227.99. 5 seconds into the hot seat. It's actually going to be faster than his seating time yesterday, but not quite faster than this man's seating time. It's Tristan Lemire. Lemire riding for the Commensal Muck-Off squad. Took the win in the junior expert category at the Tennessee National earlier this year, and you can see why. Lemire keeping that Commensal steed low to the ground at all times. Oh, some big hits right there. Lemire just plowing through it on 99. Coming into split number 1. What can he do to that time of Max Morgan? It was right on pace with his seating time. And he's up by a half second. A half second as Lemire dives into split number 2. Got a little out of sorts right there. Kind of going left and right instead of straight downhill. Doesn't look like it's phased Lemire at all. Coming in to thread the needle. Not messing about. Pretty nice to that left-hander as well. Morgan was a little quicker there, so we'll see what split number 2 says. Well, he's extended a bit. A second into the green for Tristan Lemire. Oh, Lemire so smooth on that double-double. Still got plenty of energy left. Seated in second place. A second up on Max Morgan at split number 2. So here is Lemire for Commensal Muck-Off. 0.75 up on Morgan. It's a 227.24, so faster than his seating time with one rider left to go. And here he is, folks, Neko Mulally. Big smile on his face because he was almost 5 seconds up in seating. Mulally not having the best of luck so far this year, breaking his pinky at round number 1 at Downhill Southeast. But as you can see, the man is back up to pace on that Frameworks rig. Oh, and he pulls up right there. Pulls up to mitigated compression in 99. So committed. It's just a handlebar width wide. And Neko is riding with such precision, such confidence today in finals. 2.94 up. That is insane. 38 seconds at split number 1 for Mulally. Hits the backside perfectly in Asylum. Surely this is winning pace right here we're seeing from Neko Mulally. Trying to get back on the ground as quick as he can over that rock drop through Thread the Needle. Oh, and so clean on that left-hander. We're into split number 2. And Mulally's extended it to a 5-second lead over Tristan Lemire. Neko Mulally is on a pace of his own this afternoon at Mountain Creek. Super smooth and committed there into that left-hander. Just one more sprint through the slope. Surely this will be a huge margin for Mulally today to wrap up round number 4 at SRAM Downhill Southeast. It's going to be a winning run for Neko. 6 seconds up on the rest of the field. What a run by Neko Mulally. Mama Mulally giving him some congratulations. A well-deserved win here for Neko at Mountain Creek. Tristan Lemire in second, and Max Morgan rounding out your 3-man podium for the pro men. And we've got our series overall points rolling in. And Steve Esterbrook, he had that nice hot seat time early on in the race today. That's going to net him some points to keep him in first place overall with 66 points. But Jake Kahn has moved up into second, just 3 points back of Esterbrook. You got Jordan Bolden hanging on to third with Max Beaupre and Corey Jackson rounding out your top 5.
Yeah, I had a little goal to try to beat my time from qualifying. It rained a lot overnight, so the course was a little slipperier. It was rolling fast out in the open, but some of the wood sections were a little greasy. I thought I could probably beat the time. It would just be maybe a little more dicey to get through there with it being a little bit slick. But I went for it. I had a good run. Definitely had a couple little moments where I was on the edge, but I expected it and was stoked to reach my goal, which was beating my time from yesterday. I grew up racing on the East Coast, and a lot of the tracks are shorter, maybe like 2:30 to 3-minute tracks, and they're a little bit flatter than some of the racetracks, the new style racetracks. Rockier for sure, which I'm pretty good at the kind of awkward technical rock sections. There was just a lot more of that on downhill tracks 10, 15 years ago when I started racing. So they always change the track, but I know Mountain Creek pretty well, so I think it suited me great. Yeah, this race for me was just a good prep to go to the World Cup next weekend, so I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully take some momentum. And then I'll be racing the rest of the Downhill Southeast Series as well. So Snowshoe's the next one, and that's a good spot for me to get some time on that track before we go to the World Cup there. The course we're going to run at Downhill Southeast Snowshoe is pretty much the same as the World Cup track, except for the big features. So I'm looking forward to racing that one. And then Beach is a spot where I haven't raced in a couple years, but in 2019 when we raced there, it was an awesome race. Pretty similar to this, where it's short and intense and pretty rocky. So a good track, and that one's close to where I live now. So I'm stoked to be racing back in North Carolina. Just thanks to all the riders for supporting the series and coming up here. This was a little bit further out from our home base of Downhill Southeast, but we're just trying to expand, and I think everybody that came had a great time, and just appreciate people supporting the race series.
Mountain Creek Bike Park delivered some amazing racing here for round number 4 of the SRAM Downhill Southeast Series. We'd like to thank our series sponsors, GoPro, for making this video possible, Maxxis, Worldwide Cyclery Online, and our title sponsor, SRAM. Thank you so much to the crew here at Mountain Creek Bike Park. Y'all have been amazing hosts. Thank you to the families and the racers that made it out to New Jersey. And of course, thanks to those at home for watching. We've got 2 more rounds to go this year to finish out our season. We'll be in Snowshoe, West Virginia, June 4th through 6th, and the series finale in Beach Mountain, June 24th through 26th. Registration is open for those events. So if you'd like to be a part of the action here at Downhill Southeast, go ahead and get registered online at downhillsoutheast.com. Again, thank you so much for the folks at Mountain Creek. all of our Downhill Southeast crew, the Bike Patrol, and our volunteers. We'll see you at the next race.